Now, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, I've been a bit of a Nintendo fan for quite a while. My very first video game system as a kid was a Nintendo. My grandma got it for me for Christmas, and I absolutely loved it. I literally played the thing all day. I mean, literally, I have classic original Nintendo games sitting on my desk out here out the ready. I intentionally bought a retro video game system just so I could play these ones. I have a Switch. I mean, there was a couple of years where I took off from video games where I didn't have a lot of that kind of stuff. I mean, Nintendo 64. I mean, my Sega Genesis and Nintendo 64, it's an hard press for me to decide which one of them was probably my favorite system of all time. But boys and girls, like, I am a Nintendo fan. It was my first video game system. I've loved this stuff for years. And many of us in Western civilization have seen like the infection of the cult and the agenda and all that kind of stuff damage and destroy a lot of our favorite video game franchises out there. Fortunately enough, Nintendo, for the most part, has been one of those ones to avoid this kind of stuff. Nintendo just kind of does Nintendo's own thing, whether for better or worse, and a lot of times don't end up listening to the fans or any of the screaming mobs out there on the internet. For the most part, has been very much an advantage. But there is a little part of Nintendo out there that has clearly been infected by a lot of the modern ideology, and just like every other Western civilization and as every other American company at this point has been infected by the cult. And ladies and gentlemen, Nintendo of Japan seriously needs to rein in Nintendo of America, because if they don't, it could severely damage the brand, much like what we've seen in a lot of the modern era and a lot of these other video game companies and a lot of the other just general Western companies out there who have decided to go with the agenda and ended up losing majorly in the process. And it looks like Nintendo of America, boys and girls, is about to do the exact same thing. Because there's already been some signs, some warning issues out there, seeing that when Nintendo has been part of this, that is, they've clearly been infected by the spirit of the age and the agenda that they are pushing. And the latest evidence of that is none other than this. Nintendo of America to sponsor Seattle Pride Parade, which features naked men on bicycles exposing them to children just last year. So, ladies and gentlemen, either somebody over at Nintendo of America didn't do their proper research into what actually happens at the Seattle Pride Parade, because guess what? It is perfectly legal for you to be naked in Seattle walking down the street, even in front of children, and especially at Pride parades. Or someone at Nintendo America knew exactly what happens at the Seattle Pride events and sponsored it. So yes, some of your hard-earned money that you have paid to the Nintendo company, buying their systems, buying their games, buying their DLC and everything else, is now going to sponsor a Pride Parade in Seattle, where just last year, a group of gay men rode their bicycles right down the middle of the street for God and everybody to see. So we're going to check out this article from That Park Place, getting all of the juicy details and see exactly what is going on with Nintendo of America, and once again reinforce the fact that Nintendo of Japan needs to shame and rein in Nintendo of America, because that's exactly what we're all about around here, boys and girls. We are going to make shame great again, and Nintendo for America absolutely needs to be shamed for sponsoring such an absolutely disgusting and immoral event. So we're going to get this article from That Park Place, give you all of the juicy details, and see exactly where your hard-earned dollars are going over at Nintendo. But before we do, if you do enjoy the content, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, or follow if you have not already, and leave us a comment down below letting us know what kind of memories you have with Nintendo and how much this upsets you to see them sponsor something like this as well. So from John F. Trent over at That Park Place. An alleged leaked document details that Nintendo of America will fund Seattle Pride 2024, which saw naked men on bicycles exposing themselves to children last year. And boys and girls, the fact this is a leaked document and not an official announcement yet means that there is still time to push back and change this, ladies and gentlemen. Make your voices heard, because we are winning. The tides are changing. Look at how quickly we have seen companies like Sony change their tune over the last few months when it comes to things like Stellar Blade and, of course, Helldivers. Your voice matters. Make it heard and push back against the things that are destroying your favorite franchises, your favorite IPs, and at the end of the day, your favorite escapism. The document was shared to X by a former World of Warcraft team lead Mark Kern, aka Grums. Well, boys and girls, if it's coming from Grums, you can pretty much say that it is legit. It states, in support of Nintendo America's continued commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, Rainbow ERG is excited to share with you that this year, Nintendo of America, NOA, is returning as a sponsor for Seattle Pride 2024. So apparently they did sponsor all of those naked men on bicycles last year. This is one of the ways that Nintendo of America supports our local LGBTQ plus Alphabet Soup Mafia community. It's also an opportunity to recognize and celebrate the contributions of our LGBTQ plus employees and associates. Seattle Pride is the largest parade in Washington State with over 200 participants, groups, and 3,000 attendees, including families and naked men on bicycles. Now in its 5th year of celebration, the first parade was in 74, just before the Stonewall Uprising, yada, yada, yada. The Seattle Pride Parade is a fun and fabulous event in which our community joins together to commemorate the past, celebrate one another when we need it the most, and foster encouragement for the work yet to come, and also exposes children to grown men's genitalia, and I'm sure all kinds of other degenerate acts. Just look at any of the videos you've seen from any Pride Parade around the country. The Post-Millennial reported on June 25th last year that the Seattle Pride Parade featured a number of naked men on bicycles exposing their genitalia to children and other members of the public. The outlet showed a video of the event, reported footage taken by Kate Daviscourt of the Post-Millennial showing naked men with pride flags painted on their bodies riding down the street and waving to the crowds of people, including many children. Obviously, we're not going to expose you to the video, unlike them exposing themselves to children. It's not hard to imagine how this type of behavior is indeed targeted at children to indoctrinate them in this disordered lifestyles. Now, of course, John's going to go on to all of these other kind of things, talking about all of kind of examples about why all this stuff is a problem. So, Grums continued to leak other things. Doug Bowser, president of Nintendo, sent a message to employees cheering on the Chauvin verdict in the case of the George Floyd. Internally, there's a growing concern that DEI is making work at Nintendo USA worse. Grums concluded many are waiting for the other shoe to drop and for Nintendo to make a big product mistake to turn them into the next Bud Light. And yes, exactly, boys and girls, that is the problem that you have with this kind of stuff, because the culture is rejecting this nonsense, the spirit of the age, this new religion, this woke cult, whatever you want to call it. Western civilization, and America specifically, is rejecting this nonsense and pushing back against it. We are making our voices heard, and we are winning. And yes, even with a company like Nintendo, who more often than not ignores their fans, with organized pushback, with you individuals going out there and making your voices heard, yes, we can change this kind of stuff. You cannot put up with it. Unfortunately, these moves by Nintendo America are not surprising. The company released their remake of Paper Mario, Thousand Years Door, and obviously we talked about all of that kind of stuff. The company has also made it clear on job listings for local hires that employees will have awareness of culturalization and DEI-related topics. So yes, boys and girls, the one bastion that we thought was safe, our dear sweet Nintendo, the one that's responsible for so many of our wonderful childhood memories, the same company that we have induced generations of our forebears to as something that we loved and adored, that they could get into and enjoy. Yes, boys and girls, they've been infected with the exact same woke cult. They've been possessed by the exact same spirit of the age as so many companies out there. But like I said, there is still hope out there. Go check out Grums' stuff on social media. Go see what he is doing. Go support his work, because Grums has successfully led two different, well, actually, it's not even Grums as simply organized them. Grums has simply put the information out there, and you as individuals have taken that information and made your own decisions and decide to make your voices heard. Whether it was Helldivers or all the stuff with Stellar Blade, you make the difference. So if you don't want to see Nintendo continue down this path and use your hard-earned dollars that you have paid them for your escapism, make sure you make your voices heard. Let them know what you think about watching your hard-earned money go to support an organization, a group, and an event that exposes grown men's genitalias to children. I, for one, boys and girls, would not want my money going towards that. Would you?